Hello students, in continuity of chapter 13, photosynthesis in higher plants, in this lecture we are going to study light reaction in detail. In this, main topics are cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, light harvesting system, PS1 and PS2, and as well as the topic hemi-osmotic hypothesis. First of all, let's start to study light reaction. As we can understand, as the term suggests, light reaction means which take place in presence of light only. It is also known as photochemical phase. Photochemical phase means during this phase of photosynthesis, various chemical processes take place, and that's why it is also known as photochemical phase or light reaction. This phase, light reaction or photochemical phase during photosynthesis process, it includes main processes, main phases, that is light absorption, water splitting, oxygen release, and formation of high energy chemical intermediates. These are ATP and NADPH. So, during light reaction, this phase of photosynthesis, mainly these four activities take place. Several protein complexes, they are involved in the process. Pigments are organized into two discrete photochemical, it is light harvesting complexes. It is also known as LHC in short. In this LHC, two type of photosynthesis photosystem are there. These are photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Photosystem 1, in short, it is also known as PS1, and photosystem 2 is in short known as PS2. Now, one interesting thing is that this system are actually named in the sequence of their discovery, not in the sequence in which they function during the light reaction. LHC or light harvesting complex are made up of hundreds of pigment molecules bound to proteins. Each photosystem has all the pigments except one molecule of chlorophyll A, forming a light harvesting system. It is also known as antenna here. These pigments help to make photosynthesis more efficient by absorbing different wavelength of light. The single chlorophyll A molecule forms the reaction center. So this way we can say the molecule of chlorophyll A, single chlorophyll A molecule, it's main at reaction center. Reaction center is different in both the photosystem. In PS1, the reaction center chlorophyll A has an absorption peak at 700 nanometer, and that's why it is known as P700 also. Other side, this PS2 has absorption maxima at 680 nanometer, and that's why it is also known as P680, P680. So these two types are there, P700 and P680. In this figure, easily we can study about composition of LHC or light harvesting complex. Here you can see the arrangement of LHC, light harvesting complex. Different pigment molecules are there. At reaction center, chlorophyll A molecule, and when this electrons, they get excited At that time they are further transported towards system, and here primary acceptors are present to accept these excited electrons. So during photosynthesis process, specifically when light reaction is involved, this way light harvesting complex or LHC works, where this different pigment molecules, different wavelength of light is observed. At reaction center, chlorophyll A molecule is there, electrons are released and further transported, and it is accepted by primary acceptor. Electron transport system. In short, it is also known as ETS. In photosystem 2, the reaction center chlorophyll A absorbs 680 nanometer wavelength of red light, causing electrons to become excited and jump into an orbit farther from the atomic nucleus. These electrons are picked up by an electron acceptor, which passes them to an electron transport system. So this electron transport system ETS is mainly consisting of cytochromes. This movement of electron is downhill in terms of an oxidation reduction, or we can also say redox potential scale here. Electrons are not used up as they pass through the electron transport chain ETS, but are passed on to the pigments of photosystem 1. Simultaneously, electrons in the reaction center of PS1 are also excited when they receive red light of wavelength 700 nanometer and are transferred to another acceptor molecule that is a greater redox potential. This electron, they are moved downhill again. This time this molecule of energy rich NADP, addition of these electrons reduces NADP to NADPH and H+. This whole scheme of transfer of electrons starting from the PS2 uphill to the acceptor, down the electron transport chain to PS1, excitation of electrons, transfer to another acceptor, and finally downhill to the NADP, reducing is to NADPH and H+, is called Z scheme in short also. Now why it is known as Z scheme? Because due to its characteristics, its shape, so it looks like Z shape of chain. This way electrons are transported from one place to another place, one location to another location, and that's why it is also known as Z scheme. This shape of form when all the carriers are placed in a sequence on a redox potential scale. During this reaction, actually photolysis of water to release electron that provide electron to PS2. Oxygen is also released during this process. Now let's study figure related with Z scheme of light reaction. Now you have clear idea why it is also known as Z scheme. Now try to understand this entire scheme by studying this figure, this diagram. Here you can see the light harvesting complex of both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 here. Both are having separate electron acceptor. When various pigments in light harvesting complex, they receive sunlight. At that time, photon that electron get excited, they are released, further transported, accepted by electron acceptor. Here you can see in both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. During this reaction, when electron pass through this chain E to S, at that time ATP is also synthesized. Here you can see that thing, as well as reduction of NADP molecule also take place. In this figure, we can also understand during this reaction, splitting of water molecule is also take place. So, this figure, it gives us clear idea about Z scheme of light reaction during photosynthesis process. Now, one question arises in our mind. How does PS2 supply electron continuously? Electrons that were moved from photosystem 1 must be replaced. This is achieved by electrons available due to splitting of water. The splitting of water is associated with the PS2. Water is split into 2H plus half O2 and electrons. This creates oxygen, one of the net product of photosynthesis. Electrons needed to replace those removed from photosystem 1 are provided by photosystem 2. Now we can clearly understand why this continuously availability of electron chain is maintained here. So this way we can say a splitting of water molecule take place here. Now that our water splitting complex is associated with PS2. Now we have clear idea about itself. When itself is physically located on the inner side of the membrane of thylakoid. So this way, by studying this figure, now we have clear idea about this Z scheme of light reaction. Now let's study photophosphorylation. Phosphorylation means addition of phosphate, and photo is the presence of light. So this reaction is known as photophosphorylation. In living organism, they have capability of extracting energy from oxidizable substances and store this in the form of bond energy. Special substances like ATP carry this energy in their chemical bond. The process through which ATP is synthesized by cells either in mitochondria or chloroplast is named as photophosphorylation. Is a synthesis of ATP from ADP, an inorganic phosphate, in the presence of light. Two types of this photophosphorylation are the cyclic and non-cyclic type of photophosphorylation. Now let's differ or compare between both cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. In cyclic photophosphorylation, it is performed by photosystem 1 independently. So, now we can understand only PS1 is involved here. On the other hand, in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it is performed by collaboration of both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. So this is main difference. Cyclic, only PS1 is involved. In non-cyclic, both system PS1 and PS2 they are involved. Second difference, in cyclic photophosphorylation, external source of electron is not required. But non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it requires external electron donor. Third point, during cyclic photophosphorylation, only ATP is synthesized. But during non-cyclic photophosphorylation, ATP is synthesized as well as NADH is also synthesized. Fourth difference, cyclic photophosphorylation occurs only in stromal or integranal thylakoid, but non-cyclic photophosphorylation, it occurs in the granule thylakoid only. So, by studying both comparison of cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, now we have clear idea about what is difference between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. This figure is about comparison between cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Now, we have studied difference or comparison between cyclic and non-cyclic type of photophosphorylation. So, now it's become easy to understand by studying this figure the comparison between both cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Here we can say when the two photosystem work in a series, first PS2 and then PS1, a process is called non-cyclic photophosphorylation occur. The two photosystems are connected through an electron transport chain as seen here in the, we have also studied in Z scheme. Both ATP and NADPH are synthesized by this kind of electron flow. When only PS1 is functional, the electron is circulated within the photosystem and the photophosphorylation occurs due to cyclic flow of electrons. Possible location where this could be happening is in the stroma lamella. While the membrane or lamellae or the grana have both PS1 and PS2, the stroma lamella membrane lack PS2 as well as NADP reductase enzyme. So, excited electron does not pass on the NADP but cycle back to the PS1 complex through the electron transport chain. Here in this figure also clearly you can study this thing. The cyclic flow hence result only in the synthesis of ATP. Here we can see the synthesis of ATP take place from ADP in this reaction, but not of NADPH and H+. Cyclic photophosphorylation also occurs when only light of wavelength beyond 680 nanometer are available for excitation. So, during cyclic and non-cyclic photophosphorylation, how transportation of electron take place during cyclic type of photophosphorylation? Electrons transported further and they return to their original site of them, and in non-cyclic photophosphorylation, electron they do not return to their original site of their origin. That is difference. In one photosystem one is involved, in second type non-cyclic both photosystems are involved here. Now let's study chemiosmotic hypothesis of ATP formation. And actually ATP is synthesized in the chloroplast in photosynthesis reaction. Chemiosmotic hypothesis has been put forward to explain the mechanism, this mechanism. We know about respiration. In photosynthesis also, ATP synthesis is linked to development of a proton gradient across a membrane. Here, during this reaction, this time, the membrane of thylakoid actually. There is one difference that here the proton accumulation is towards the inside of the membrane in the lumen. In respiration, protons accumulated in the intermembrane space of lumen. So, during respiration, this process, mechanism of AT formation, chemiosmotic pathway, it's actually occur in mitochondria, and here during photosynthesis, it's a take place in chloroplast. Now, let's understand which are the main causes of this proton gradient across the membrane. We need to consider again that the processes that take place during the activation of electrons and their transport to determine the steps that cause a proton gradient. First one, splitting of water molecule take place on the inner side of the membrane. Protons or hydrogen ions that are produced by the splitting of water accumulated within the lumen of thylakoids. Second one, as electrons move through the photosystem, protons are transported across the membrane. This happens because the primary acceptor of electron, which is located towards the outer side of the membrane, transfers its electron not to an electron carrier but to an H carrier. These molecules remove a proton from the stroma while transporting an electron. When this molecule passes on its electron to the electron carrier on the inner side of the membrane, proton is released into the inner side or the lumen side of the membrane. Third one, NADP reductase enzyme that is present that side is located on the stroma side of the membrane. Along with electrons that come from acceptor of electrons of PS1, protons are necessary for the reduction of NADP to NADP plus H plus. These protons are also removed from the stroma. Within the chloroplast, proton in the stroma decrease in number, while in the lumen there is accumulation of proton. This point is important here. Within the chloroplast, proton in the stroma decreases in number, but lumen side there is accumulation of this proton, and this creates a proton gradient across the thylakoid membrane as well as a measurable decrease in pH in the lumen. Fourth, now this gradient, proton gradient is important because it is the breakdown of this gradient that leads to the synthesis of ATP, and that is important here. The gradient is broken down due to the movement of protons across the membrane to the stroma through the transmembrane channel of the CF0. F0 particles are there of ATP synthesis. ATP synthesis enzyme consists of two parts. One part that is called CF0 embedded in the thylakoid membrane and forms a transmembrane channel that carries out facilitate diffusion of protons across the membrane. This was the first portion, CF0. Another portion, second portion, that is CF1, supported on the outer surface of the thylakoid membrane on the side which faces the stroma. Breakdown of the gradient provides enough energy to cause conformational change in the CF1 particle of ATP synthesis, which make the enzyme synthesize several molecules of energy like ATP. So this way this entire process take place here by this particle CF0 and CF1. Fifth one, the chemiosmosis requires a membrane, proton pump, proton gradient and ATP synthesis. Energy used to pump protons across membrane to create gradient or high concentration of protons within the thylakoid lumen. ATP synthesis has channel that allows diffusion of proton back across the membrane. This releases enough energy two activated ATP synthase enzyme that catalyze the formation of ATP. So this way ATP synthesis take place here along with the NADPH produces by the movement of electrons. The ATP will be used immediately in the biosynthetic reaction take place in the stroma region responsible for the fixing of CO2, carbon dioxide and synthesis of sugar. So this way after this reaction actually the product of light reaction they are useful for biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis process. Now this product of light reactions they are mainly ATP, NADPH and oxygen. This figure gives idea about ATP synthesis through chemi-osmosis. Entire pathway we can study this figure. Through this figure we can study entire mechanism of chemi-osmosis. Here you can see the structure of this membranous structure that is within chloroplast thylakoid membrane. Other side stroma region is the lumen also you can see here. Both photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 are observed. Chromosomes are there. Movement or transportation of electron take place. Proton gradient is created here. Then outside and inside F0 and F1 particles are there. When the entire reaction take place, here you can see as we have studied here, ATP is synthesized and NADP is converted into NADPH. So we can say here the product of light reaction they are mainly ATP, NADPH and O2. Of these products O2 diffuses out of the chloroplast while ATP and NADPH they are used to drive the process leading to synthesis of food. So more accurately sugars we can also say the main product of photosynthesis. This way it is synthesized during biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis. But for this phase the products of first phase light reaction they are required. As we know that is ATP, NADPH and O2 here. This biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis is when sugar is synthesized here. This process does not directly depend on the presence of light but it depends on the products of light reaction. Now we can easily understand that is ATP and NADPH as well as this product related and CO2 and H2O. So immediately after light becomes unavailable, the biosynthetic process continue for some time. So during photosynthesis process this way it alters light reaction take place. The product of light reaction they are useful for second phase that is biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis and this way entire cycle mechanism of photosynthesis is continuous. So now in short that is important here light reaction which take place in presence of light only. Its main product they are ATP, NADPH and oxygen. These products of light reaction they are useful for biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis. This phase, biosynthetic phase is not directly involved depend on the presence of light but indirectly it involved with light. How does it involve with light indirectly? Because in presence of light it take place it is not like that but it depends regarding products because the product of light reaction they are useful for biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis And at the end of biosynthetic process, biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis, we can say food is synthesized, that is mainly in the form of sugar.